put it on record. Okay, we'll start again. Right, so good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful bank holiday evening in the UK, and for a Monday, the 3rd of May, for everyone across, Monday, 2nd of May, for everyone across Europe. So it gives me enormous pleasure to welcome a very, very special guest with us this evening. And he is someone who is, well, really a legend in our business. He has a huge story. He has turned over €100 million in his time in our company. And he is a standard bearer across the whole of our company, but someone who has just an extraordinary story, but also such a wonderfully structured way of looking at our business. And so it gives me enormous pleasure to introduce to you PMD 100 Club, Damian Brennan. Good evening, Damian.
Good evening, James. I have to say I had no idea who you were talking about there.
Well, you're always very humble, but we know that secretly, you know, there's a genius there. Damian, I just wanted to start really by just asking a little bit, first of all, about your background. That would really be helpful for us. I mean, what's your background before you started into Juice Plus?
Yes, James. Before we were introduced to Juice Plus, I was a primary school teacher. I was principal teacher in a small school in my native parish here in County Leitrim in the west of Ireland. As well as that, Olive and I had bought a farm and we were farming. We were raising cows and calves. Also, I had been elected to Leitrim County Council. I was a member of various committees at county level dealing with issues such as education, enterprise and business development, health services, sport, and so on. And as well as all of that, we had started a manufacturing business in 1980. We had built a factory and we had 12 people employed. And of course, we had a large family to look after. So I suppose you could say I was actually already doing 4 full-time jobs at the same time before we were introduced to Juice Plus.
Okay, so tell us a little bit. I mean, as a very, very busy person, you know, you would imagine that you just couldn't possibly be looking for anything else to do because you were just so up to your eyes with the family and also with the business. But something obviously caught your eye about Juice Plus, and what was that?
Well, I suppose we were introduced to Juice Plus in much the same way as almost everybody else, because at the beginning of 1994, which is just over 22 years ago, a friend of ours here in the locality had been introduced to Juice Plus and the business, and she was very anxious that Olive and I would go along to a presentation to hear about it. Now, like many other people, we managed to find excuses initially, but eventually we ran out of excuses, and she was quite persistent, and we did decide and agree to go to the meeting. When we got there, I remember well sitting in the back seat, and however, when the presentation started and when people began to tell their stories, you couldn't but be impressed by Juice Plus, the product. Even though at that time there was very little information on it. There were no studies, there were very little literature, and the presentation itself was quite basic. But our friend was taking Juice Plus and she was getting great results. And other people spoke and they talked about various benefits they were getting from Juice Plus. One person in particular talked about the energy, the boost in energy he had got. And that was something that really registered with me, because at the time, my energy levels were really low. And as well as that, I was beginning to develop a number of other health challenges because of the stress of everyday life at the time. And so therefore, we decided we were certainly going to take Juice Plus. The second part of the meeting then went on to focus on the business. And this is where it really became interesting, because my initial reaction was, there's something wrong here. There's some catch in this. This is too good to be true. Because remember, we were coming from a background of having established our own manufacturing business. We had enormous capital investment. We had remortgaged our house in order to do that. We had very substantial overheads. We had a lot of wages to pay every week and a lot of stress and responsibility. Now, they were telling us here then that here was a home-based franchise where you had no capital investment. You had no employees, so therefore no wages to pay. You had none of the conventional overheads of self-employed business, and yet you had absolutely enormous potential. You could literally design your own business and achieve a small part-time income or a very significant full-time income, paid every month for the rest of your life. Now, this was just too good to be true for somebody coming from our background. There had to be a catch someplace. But at the same time, I was intrigued by the concept. What if it were true? For Olive, she didn't analyze it as much as I did. She decided she was becoming a distributor there and then, and she did. On that very first night, she signed up, became a distributor. And finally, after a short reflection on my part, she sponsored me into the business. So we started off in April 1994, Olive joining the business, and subsequently she sponsored me as her first distributor.
Fantastic. So, I mean, well, fascinating that you were attracted by the product and you saw the business presented and you just got excited by that because you compared it with a traditional business. And I think that's such an interesting way that you have explained that. But tell us, Damian, a little bit about how was your first 6 months in the business? Because obviously everybody starts at a slightly different pace, but there you are, after all this time, you've had massive success. But what was your first 6 months like?
Well, the first 6 months, James, were certainly interesting and they were quite challenging. And maybe to understand that, we need to kind of reflect back to what the business system was like back then. And secondly, the level of awareness among people of the link between nutrition and health. Things were much different in 1994. As far as the business was concerned, we didn't have the home delivery reorder program, where the company delivers Juice Plus directly to the customer, where they invoice the customer and they collect the payment. Instead, we as distributors had to buy in supplies of Juice Plus, sell it out a month at a time to individual customers and collect payment from them. And that was very, very laborious and very slow to build momentum. On the other hand, as far as awareness was concerned, people didn't really believe back then, or they had no awareness of the need to take responsibility for their own health. And they didn't understand the vital importance of fruits and vegetables and berries in supporting a healthy diet. They never made that link. And anyway, almost every household in the area had their own vegetable garden and their own orchard, and they grew fruits and berries and vegetables, and they ate quite a lot of that produce on a daily basis. As well as that, not very many people understood that the science existed to reduce fruits and vegetables to their bare nutrients and pack them into a capsule. In fact, in the area where I live, which is quite conservative, if it were known that you were taking fruits, vegetables, and berries from a capsule, well, that would be regarded as rather odd at the time, to say the least. So the environment was certainly not as favorable as it is today. And as a result, our first 6 months were very challenging, but it was a great learning experience. And in spite of the disadvantages, our business grew steadily.
So tell us, I mean, when you say challenging, what were you experiencing? Because a lot of people who are just starting are going to be saying, yeah, well, you know, I'm having good days and maybe I'm having bad days as well. And it's very helpful for people to hear that obviously you went through that sort of thing as well. So what were some of the challenges that you were facing when you first started? I mean, obviously you've already told about the market, but you, in terms of your daily activity with the business, what sort of challenges did you face?
Well, one of the common challenges that people experience is lack of time. In my case, I had 4 full-time jobs, each of which carried pretty heavy responsibility. The teaching and principal in the school was obviously a very full-time job. It was a lot of responsibility there. Running the manufacturing business, which Olive and I ran together without any manager, and managing and organizing 12 of a workforce, and having a lot of responsibility there, that was more than a full-time job. As well as that, being an elected local representative involved in, at one time, 24 committees locally, there was just no time to do anything else. But yet, the opportunity was so good that we felt we had to put aside some time for Juice Plus. And we did, consistently, on a daily and a weekly basis. We made sure we did that. So time was one of the big challenges that many, many people experience.
And so what were you doing on a daily basis to get yourself going? I mean, alongside that very, very, very time-consuming, you know, other work activity that you had, what were you doing every day that was really, you found was beginning to move your business forward?
Well, there's an old saying, James, that's very true. You can't manage time, but you can manage activities. And that's exactly what we were doing. We had a consistent daily method of operation. And the focus of that daily method of operation was on income producing activities. Now, nowadays, it's very, very important that people do that. For example, the opposite of that is having long telephone conversation with team members on topics that are just not related to business. And that can be a waste of their time and a waste of your distributor's time. Or spending hours trawling through Facebook. That's also wasting time. And invariably, it induces a bad mood as well. So we didn't get involved in time-wasting activities. We had so little time, we had to be really, really focused and really, really productive with our time. The second thing that we did quite well was planning. And we never started a day without a list of things to do. And that list was prioritized. Oftentimes it was a very long list, so maybe 1 to 20, they were prioritized. And the other strategy we had was we started with the most difficult task for the day. Having done it first, then of course the rest are easy. So the old saying is like, eat that frog first thing in the morning and everything else is easy. And I suppose the third thing we did was we had goals and targets. We had 5-year goals, we broke them down into annual goals, and then we had broke them in turn back to monthly goals and weekly targets. And we taught that to our team. So each distributor in the team set their own targets, they share them with their sponsor, and then they're supported by the sponsor and held accountable by the sponsor. It doesn't always work perfectly, but it's something well worth aiming for because it really does deliver enormous success.
Yeah. And let me ask you, sorry, Damon, I don't want to introduce you. I don't want to interrupt you, but as you were sort of beginning to go through the activities that you were doing on a daily basis, what things were that you began to see that you would do that would just suddenly start really accelerating things to move forward? What were some of the things that you identified that were really making a big difference?
Okay, being consistent was very important. Making contact with a number of people every single day, regardless of what other responsibilities you had. You couldn't afford, we felt, we couldn't afford to neglect this business, regardless of what other pressures were there on a daily basis. And, you know, starting off, our business was extremely well founded. There were, let's say, 3 really important, solid cornerstones to the business. Number one, we had absolute confidence in the company because we had come to know Jay Martin, John Blair, and other corporate leaders, as well as pioneering distributors like Jeff Liberty, Bob and Sue Burdick. And they told their stories. Those distributors like Bob and Sue Burdick, they told the stories of starting from humble beginnings, being disciplined, seeing an opportunity and really going for it. And we felt if they could do it, so could we. Our circumstances were different, but yet on a part-time basis, we could aim to achieve over a longer period of time the kind of success that they achieved in a short period of time. So our confidence in the company and in the leading distributors in the company was absolute. And secondly then was our conviction about the product. We had seen the results, we'd experienced the results ourselves, and we'd seen the results in our customers. And we'd seen the excitement that was generated by customer testimonials at the various meetings. And the third element, the third really important cornerstone of the business was the incredible franchise system that was delivering significant part-time income for everybody in our team. People who put in an effort got a return. People who put in a very big effort got a huge return. So that was really important. And when we came to successful strategies, James, the other important factor was we built a sense of team spirit. And we developed that right throughout our team, and indeed, including Team Ireland, right throughout the other teams in Ireland.
Can you just repeat that again? Because we just lost you there a little bit. What did you say there? You developed something?
We developed a team spirit. We developed a coming together, not just throughout our own team, but together with the other leaders in Ireland. So it became a Team Ireland, team spirit, a movement, being part of something really worthwhile and something very identifiable. And people look forward to coming to the meetings and the events, and they got caught up in the excitement and the energy in the room. But of course, as well as that, when it comes to breakthroughs in the business, we had the good fortune to sponsor some really good people. And we learned very early on that one of the keys to success in the business is to sponsor people who are better than you. So in other words, sponsor up. And all of that underpinned by consistent effort every day, every week, every month, doing small things, but doing it consistently. The consistency, I believe, is really the key to success in this business.
Well, that's fascinating, Damian. And I mean, I think your work ethic is second to none. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. But in terms of finding your people, I mean, a lot of people will be amazed when they hear that really everything that you were doing, as myself, everything was offline. Nothing was online. There was no social media. So some people are going to say, well, look, where did all these people come from? Where did you find these people to sponsor? And what process did you go through to help other people to find those people?
Well, it was very simple, really, James. It's the old-fashioned system, and that is having your list of contacts. And again, that was part of our planning and our organization. We had a very long list of people that we knew. Some people we knew very well, and some people we didn't know all that well. So we compiled a list of prospects, starting with family and friends and neighbors and people we were at school with, and moving out from there to people we did business with. And every time we had a customer for the manufacturing business, that person went into that list of names, and we extended out to contacts of that particular person. So we had a very broad list of people. In other words, we would never run out of people to make contact with. Our approach then was to find a way to mention Juice Plus or the business in the context of whatever exchange we had with those people. So sometimes it might be, at that time I was playing a lot of football and I was coaching football teams, and there was always an opportunity to introduce it there. As well as that, when we were doing business with somebody with a manufacturing business, there was always an opportunity, if you were really looking for it, to bring around the conversation, maybe to energy or maybe to work and rest and relaxation and the stress of everyday life and things like that. And our story was, we used to feel like that. But now, thanks to Just Plus, everything has changed. And that was a great conversation opener. So we had a long list of names, but in reality, everybody has a long list of names. Whoever you are, or wherever you are from, or whatever your past experience, you have access literally to hundreds and hundreds of people. And we found that writing them down, recording them on a list was really important. Because once they're on that list, you are never stuck for somebody to talk to on any particular day or any particular week. And then you just went to the list and you took off, let's say, 20 or 30 people. And these were the people that you would plan to speak to in the course of the coming week.
Fascinating. Yeah, fascinating, Damian. I mean, I think this whole business about, the list is so important, as we call it, the warm market, people that we know well. And what has been really, really interesting is we've had these calls and we've had a number of calls with Gen Y people who are very, very heavily involved in Facebook. And what is fascinating is that a number of these people, the very best people that they've sponsored, have been people that have come in as a result of a warm market conversation, someone they've met on holiday or something like that. So obviously the warm market is so important. But the next thing I really want to ask you about, Damian, is that, when the bonuses arrived, I remember having a conversation with you at that time, and I could see there was a fire in your eyes about really going to it with the bonuses. And you had even more success kicked in for you at that time. Can you tell me what happened there with the bonuses, and what was the sort of massive impact of that on your business?
It was an incredibly exciting time. March 2013, we will never forget that month and the opportunity that was opened up to us. Because, as I mentioned earlier, the fundamentals in the business were already there. This was already an exceptional business opportunity. But when the bonus program was launched, it really magnified everything. It transformed the business opportunity, because there was now the opportunity to build a really serious business in a relatively short period of time, earning over €100,000 in bonuses and establishing a solid monthly income at a level unforeseen heretofore. And of course, this coincided as well with the focus on the Gen Y group and the use of social media as a means of making contact with prospective customers and distributors on an unprecedented scale. So all of these things came together at just about the same time. So there were two things involved. First of all, the bonus program, and how did we approach that? As soon as it was announced, you will remember, because I know we talked together about this immediately after the announcement, we got to work with some of the leaders developing a fast-track business plan, which would take a new distributor from SDD right up to PMD in just 2 years. During the course of that progress, they would collect over 100,000 in bonuses, and they develop a solid recurring income of about €10,000 per month, or £8,000 per month. Now, you didn't have to complete the program in 2 years. You could take 5 years to do it, you could take 8 years, you could take 10 years, and still you could make all of your bonuses along the way. So this was a truly incredible opportunity. So what we did was we got that down on paper, and 3 years later, we still work off exactly the same plan that we developed back in March 2013. So having got it on paper, the next step was to sell the plan to our team, show them what they could achieve based on their current positions, and generate excitement about the prospect and get them involved in promoting it right down to everybody in their own team. Then all of us, as a group together, enthusiastically promoted this new business opportunity to prospects everywhere, and recruitment absolutely soared. Within a period of about 12 months, our business tripled. We'd never seen such a development before. We'd never seen such expansion business before. It was no longer just a part-time opportunity, but it provided an opportunity for those who wanted a change of career, for example, an opportunity to secure the financial future of themselves and their families. And yet it was accessible to everybody and extremely flexible. It could be made to suit the lifestyle and the commitment of each individual, regardless of their background and their current commitments. This system just had everything. And we did everything possible to exploit it and to use it to the fullest.
Fantastic. I mean, obviously you're always very, very structured, Jamie, and I know that you always like to follow a plan. I mean, let's say that someone is on the call tonight, and they're very, very new, and they're saying, okay, Damian, if I was to, if you were going to tell me what to do to get to senior director, distributor, and sales coordinator, what would you be telling someone to do that, to achieve that?
Well, the very first step with a new distributor coming into the business, it's really important that we show them the vision of what they could achieve. Because they're approaching a business opportunity, they really don't see the big picture. We've got to paint that picture for them. We've got to outline that to them. And in order to do that, we need to get to know that new prospect a little bit first. So our initial contact always starts with a general conversation. In the course of that conversation, then, we're getting to know the prospect. We're getting to know their background. We're getting to know their interests. And we're finding out from them why they would need Juice Plus in their lives and why they would need a business opportunity in their lives. Having found out that, then, we outline the vision of what they could achieve. We always, in the very beginning, what we found is that people lack confidence more than anything else. So we make it clear to them that we believe in them, that we know that they can do this, and we show them that they can do it. We have them set out then for themselves a 5-year vision of what they will achieve in the business. And more importantly, we get them to outline what difference that will make to themselves personally and to their families. So let's say they have a 5-year vision to develop a business that's returning them €5,000 per month. We tease out with them then what difference that will make to them personally and to their families. And that's a really, really powerful motivation tool. Having done all of that, then we agree targets for the first 4 months. And then we focus on month 1. This is the most important month. And we break down the target for month 1 into weekly targets. Then we put in place a plan of action to achieve those weekly targets. And A really important aspect of the business is accountability. It's absolutely essential so as to keep them on track and to provide a sense of achievement for them as well. And of course, that sense of achievement brings the confidence. It builds their confidence. We generate excitement with them by having them involved with the team through meetings and events and calls and through social media, of course. And in the early stages, we again build up their confidence. We're very much aware of the fact that this is what's lacking, and we stay very close to them, supporting them, encouraging them, helping them to achieve SDD, and then go on to achieve sales coordinator and to get worthwhile checks in the early stages. When people achieve these positions and get those checks, they then see positive, tangible proof that the business works and that they themselves can do it. And we always are very conscious of the fact that whatever we teach the new distributor, they in turn will teach their distributors. So it's really important that we keep that in mind always.
Great, Damian. I mean, again, fantastic structure. And I mean, I'm writing reams and reams of notes. All right, so we're going to be coming to the end of this particular part of the call in just a moment, and then we're going to move into question and answers. So if you're on the call, this is normally the most exciting part of the call, where you, having listened to what Damian has said, you will come forward, or hopefully you'll come forward with some questions. And by the way, there are no question here that is crazy. Everybody will have wanted to ask the question that you're going to ask. So, really, we have a guru here that we can ask anything of now. And if you put it on the chat below, just in the chat box at the bottom, then I will do my best to go through them and ask the questions of Damian and get some answers for you. So, Damian, just as we sort of really finish this part, I just wanted to ask you, for the new person listening to call for the first time, how would you really describe the huge opportunity that we have here? I mean, obviously we know it so well in a sense, and sometimes we can get too close to it, but how would you describe the opportunity that the new person has got here?
Well, James, just by way of introduction to the answer to that question, I often say, and I absolutely believe, that none of us fully appreciate the enormity of the opportunity that we've got. We really don't. But if you look at the fundamentals of this business, they're so sound that if you put in an effort, you simply cannot fail. And those fundamentals include, first of all, an incredible, unrivaled product, which has stood the test of the past 23 years and is timeless as we look into the future. Juice Plus, the product, the market for it, the need for it in society, is far greater today than it was last year. It will be far greater next year than it is right now. And in 10 and 20 and 30 and 15 years' time, I really believe the demand for it will be even greater. And that's an incredible thing to say about our product. The second fundamental is the company. We've an extremely solid company, 46 years in business. Their mission statement inspires us every day. And you have the example, the coaching, the training that we receive from inspirational leaders, both corporate and distributors as well. And the fourth fundamental in the business is the franchise system. It's a very simple system and yet very, very powerful. It's completely flexible and accessible to absolutely everybody. So these, as I see it, are the four main fundamentals of the business. So starting with that solid foundation, what we did over the years was we applied a very positive attitude founded on absolute conviction regarding the future potential of the business. We had a good work ethic, we fostered a great team spirit, and most importantly of all, we sponsored people that were much better than us. So my advice to new people coming in is that this is the approach that they should take to the business. They should be methodical, they should be focused, they should be disciplined. They should know and be very, very confident that they can achieve literally anything they want to achieve. And when I sum up this business, again, at the risk of repeating myself, I've been in self-employed business now, between conventional business and Juice Plus franchise, for 36 years. And for the past 40 years, I've served on local enterprise boards where we evaluate business opportunities and we support and mentor startup businesses here in our local county. And I can definitively say, without fear of contradiction, that there's no other business opportunity available anywhere to rival the Juice Plus franchises. We've got all of the advantages of a traditional franchise. We've got the brand name product, the global company, the proven franchise system, and we've none of the disadvantages. The new person coming into the business, they don't have any capital investment. They don't have to buy any stock. They don't have to collect any money from customers. They have no employees, no wages to pay, and none of the conventional overheads of business, and literally unlimited potential. You can achieve anything you want to in this business. And we know from the success of the past 3 years in particular that this has been borne out over and over and over again. You have a personal mentor to show you how to do it. They will teach you to do it, and they will support you as you do it. And you get all of this for €60 or £50. And to be honest, I really think that's one of the weaknesses of the business. The fact that it costs only €60 or £50 means that there is the temptation to treat it as a €60 opportunity. Whereas if it cost €60,000 to take out this franchise, we would all treat it much more seriously and we would all achieve enormous success.
Damian, go on.
My final advice to distributors is to treat this business as a €60,000 franchise. Go to work on it in a focused and disciplined way. Be absolutely confident that you will achieve whatever your goal is, provided you follow the system and provided you put in the effort that's required. Keep it simple and you will achieve whatever you desire. Oftentimes people say to me, well, how did you handle the Gen Y and the social media? Because it's pretty obvious I'm not Gen Y. And it's pretty obvious to many people that I know absolutely nothing about social media. I have no ability or no inclination in that area. But what I did was, and what anybody in my circumstance can do, is I sponsored people who were extremely good on Facebook and were excellent at communicating using social media. And I also sponsored people who are part of Gen Y, and they in turn sponsor their friends. So you can build a business with a huge Gen Y wing or department without being from that generation. You simply sponsor people and let them do it for themselves. You have to be there to coach and to encourage them.
Fantastic, Damian. I mean, that's absolutely amazing. And, you know, you are just such a shining example of what has been achieved in our business, not just offline, but online, but so brilliantly by sponsoring people who are highly active on Facebook. And I think the thing that shines through to me more than anything about everything you've said is that you've approached this as a very, very strong business opportunity with a business mindset. And I think that shines through more than anything. In no way has this been a half-hearted approach by you. It's been a very, very focused and structured approach. And I think that's really won the day for you. So look, let's just ask some questions now of you. Damian, a couple of ones here. Louise, from Louise Marie Harris. 3 tips for sponsoring as quickly as you can, Damian. What would you say to someone who's saying, look, I really want to be able to sponsor more effectively. What do I need to do? Just quick points.
To me, the most important factor, James, is your attitude. So when you're approaching somebody to sponsor them, you have to be absolutely confident. And you build up your confidence through personal development. Jim Rohn, for example, is a great guru in that regard. You also build it up by getting to understand and fully appreciate the opportunity that you're offering to somebody. And your attitude then when you approach somebody must be that you are approaching them from the viewpoint of the benefit that can accrue to them rather than the benefit that can accrue to you. So you're not out there like a hunter looking to ensnare a distributor. You're out there hoping to help somebody to improve their financial prospects. And that's the only, when you approach it from that point of view, you will always succeed. You cannot possibly fail, because the decision at the end of the day is down to the prospect. You just offer the opportunity from the best possible viewpoint. The second tip I would offer them is that you must have a list of people to approach. If you've got a list of 1,000 people, then when you approach somebody, you're going to approach them from the very best state of mind. You're not going to be worried about getting that person into the business. You're going to be very confident that if that person doesn't agree to join the business, then that's the way it's meant to be. In Ireland, for example, we have 5 million people on this island. If I approach somebody and they don't join the business, well, there's 4,999,999 left. So I'm absolutely confident there's lots of people out there to join the business. Be methodic, do it regularly. So if I approach one person a week, the chances of success are small. If I approach 20 people a week, the chances of success are 20 times greater. It's a question of numbers. So to summarize, you've got to have the right attitude. You've got to be out for the good of that person rather than trying to sponsor them into your team for your benefit. Secondly, you've got to have an extensive list of people, gives you confidence. And the third point is then that when you approach them, be totally relaxed about it, and you will always succeed.
Thank you, Damon. That's brilliant. So let's just move on now. Okay, so very quickly, we've got quite a few questions now to cover in just about six minutes now. How do you deal with people who are saying no, but you know that they really could do with the opportunity? Is it just a matter of being patient? Very quickly, Francis de la Cour, what would you say to that?
It is, of course. In this business, we are farmers, so we sow the seeds. That's all we can do. Once you introduce the information about Juice Plus and you tell your own story, which is the most powerful aspect of it, after that, the decision has to rest with the prospect. So you present it as best you can, and you don't do it to the extent that you become a nuisance, but occasionally you come back to visit that topic again with them. Over a period of time, very, very likely that person who needs Juice Plus will come around to ordering Juice Plus. It took me 18 years to get one particular friend of mine on Juice Plus. So don't give up.
Okay, so, and Damon, Tony asks, roughly how many do you talk to get one customer or a distributor? How many do you reckon?
Usually, talking to 10 people, you will get 3 to 4 customers. And maybe within the next 6 months, you'll probably get 2 more of those 10 to become customers as well. In relation to distributors, talking to 10 people, you will very regularly get 1 to 2 of those people to become distributors. But talking to them isn't necessarily just a one-off event. It may take place over a period of time.
Brilliant. Someone else, Claire Davidson, what do your weekly and monthly goals look like? I mean, what sort of things would people be putting down on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis as goals?
Well, if you have somebody coming brand new into the business and their ambition is to make a real income from this business, then their first monthly goal is to go STD. For us in Ireland here, it's 4,000 euros volume. So therefore, our monthly goal is 4,000. Our weekly goal is on average 1,000, but we front load the first 2 weeks. So the first week is 1,200 euro volume. The second week is 1,200. The third week is 1,200 euro, and you've only got 400 euro to accumulate in the last week. In the UK, it's 3,250 divided up in a similar ratio. So the monthly target is go STD. The second month is reconfirm STD. And again, it's a similar goal, but this time you will have team members with you. So you have to take them into consideration as well.
Yep. Okay, that's wonderful. I love that about the loading up in the early weeks. That's absolutely wonderful. Someone else asks, Sophia Picknell asks, how do you deal with people who have a negative opinion?
Well, I think that people with a negative opinion are very encouraging. It's a challenge and it's great practice. So somebody with a really negative opinion, it has nothing to do with Juice Plus, usually, and it's nothing to do with us. It's really their own issue. So therefore, it's very important that we don't overreact to it, and that we just move on. I find that the very best reaction to a negative attitude is to smile.
Okay, I love that. Gordon Wilkie PMD asks, do you teach your new distributors a script when they begin to speak to their people on their list?
No, we don't actually teach them a script, but what we do is we rehearse with them their own story. So we have people write out their Juice Plus story and rewrite it until they have refined it to the extent that they can relate it in about 30 seconds. And that's a really, really interesting exercise because, you know, once they've done that, they're always ready to relate that story and to do it in a coherent way that has the greatest impact.
Yeah, yeah. So Mira Soda asks, I get a lot of interest, and then people sometimes shy away due to price, and perhaps length of the order or the time they've got to order for. What do you say about that, Damian? If someone is saying, "Oh, it's too expensive."
Well, when we come to that, we kind of head off that objection before it happens by saying that, and it's so affordable. The price is actually the best part. It only costs €2.40 a day for the benefits of 30 fruits, vegetables, and berries. For some families who have a limited budget, they can have fruits and vegetables for just €1.50 a day. Now, what would you get for €1.50? In extreme circumstances, where people really are negative in relation to the price, well, berries only cost €26 per month. We very seldom have to come back to that level, but if necessary, we get people started on berries and upgrade them as time goes on. But price oftentimes is in our own heads. So our attitude to price is really important. Once we really internalize the idea that price is not an issue, that $2.40 a day is a pittance for the value you're getting. So this is not a question of affordability. This is a question of priority. It's a question of value. Some of the people who had the greatest objections to price, in my experience, were people who smoked or people who had a few pints regularly during the week. And it's not a question of affordability. It's a question of priority.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's absolutely wonderful. Sue Worrell asks, you know, when introducing the marketing plan to a new distributor, how do you structure teaching the most important aspects? Now, obviously, we've only got literally just a couple of minutes left, but if someone's going to say, what are the most important things that I need to teach someone from the marketing plan, what would you say?
Well, what we do is we teach people what they need to know to get to the next step. The marketing plan, as you know, can be quite complicated. So we've simplified it in two ways. One, we still use that 2-year business plan, fast track business plan, to get from STD right up to P&D. We still use that blueprint, and we show people who are interested in that area that blueprint, and we follow that with them. They don't necessarily have to follow it month by month. They can take time out between the various positions if they want to, and that relieves the pressure on them. On the other hand, we teach people how to get to the first position. To get into SDD is a simple question of accumulating 4,000 pints in the first month. We break it down, as I outlined already, on a weekly basis, and we just teach them that segment until they're SDD. When they get to SDD, they can teach somebody else to do it because they've just done it themselves. So in this business, it's apprenticeship rather than any other relationship. So somebody's done it, teaches somebody else to do it exactly the same way. So what is important is having a uniform system that everybody applies, keeping it absolutely simple. One of the mistakes I made in this business was training people too much, attempting to teach them too much at the same time. I still err on that side from time to time, but the younger people in our team, the Gen Y people, they put me up on it quite regularly, thankfully.
Right. Okay, final question now. We're just after 9:15. We're going to be finishing in very, very shortly. Final question from Alex Smallman down in Hove. What do you do to motivate your team on a regular basis? Do you continually try and rev people up, or do you believe people should know the support they have and they should just show up and effectively be self-motivated? What do you think?
Well, I often say about this business, James, is that it's wonderfully frustrating. And the reason for that is because we deal with so many different kinds of people. And you cannot, one rule does not apply to everybody. So you've got to know your people, you've got to know your individuals, and you've got to treat them in a way that's going to be effective for each individual. That can be time consuming, of course, but it's well worth the effort. When you go and talk to somebody, if they're not making progress at the minute and they're not showing up at the meeting, there is a reason. There is always a reason for that. And the only way you're going to find out that reason is go and sit down and talk to them. Nowadays, you can actually do it through Zoom call. But if you sit down face to face with them, a cup of coffee and a general conversation, it will always emerge during that where they have found themselves to be. What the reason is that they're not motivated to come to meetings or they're not driving forward. Maybe they've lost confidence. In many instances it is. And you gradually build up that confidence. Over the years, we've had many people who just stopped doing the business. And that conversation has brought them back into it. And usually introduce the idea that if they start by getting a month, and then next month getting 2 customers, the following month maybe getting 3 customers, and gradually building up momentum and regaining their confidence, sometimes these people have gone ahead to tremendous success. So it's important to deal with people as individuals. It's time consuming, but that's our business. That's the nature of our business.
Well, Damian, I think that's it now. I mean, I'm very sorry to say that we have to draw it to a close. I mean, you have been absolutely amazing. I mean, we have been sitting in the presence of a master. You are so good, so eloquent, and so energetic, but also just so businesslike with the way you approach it. And I think a lot of people will be highly reassured that it's not just a hit and miss approach that we're taking, but this is a highly structured and methodical approach. So Damian, I mean, I've had so many messages on the box, so the chat box at the bottom, to say thank you so much. Everybody's saying, can you be my mentor? But we're so grateful, Damian. Just thank you so much for your time. And most importantly, thank you for just having that amazing business focus that you've got. It's going to be so reassuring for so many people. So thank you very, very much. Just to say that next week we have a wonderful guest with us from America next week. We're going to be welcoming a 100 Club, Elizabeth Tarsis, who is from Fort Lauderdale in Florida, and she is an extraordinary powerhouse and a huge success story. So we would look forward to welcoming her next Monday. Just to finish off with something amazing. Amazing news that's just come in from Juice Plus headquarters, that we added 100,000 customers, new customers in Europe in April. 100,000 customers, and we have now overtaken the United States as the biggest market in the world. So something really quite extraordinary is happening. So thank you everyone very, very much indeed for your wonderful attention. We have a meeting in London on Thursday at Down to Earth Cafe, which is going to be hosted by Paula Wilkinson, and that's going to be very exciting. So everyone, thank you very much indeed for your time, and we really look forward to seeing you soon. Take care and have a very good week. Good night.